Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Korean Zombie versus Eek. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the welterweight division, Matt Semelsberger versus Chaos Williams. And I see this one right here. You got two prospects right here, two solid prospects. You got Semelsberger, decent athletic background in football and wrestling, good wrestling background, big physical, solid striking for the level he's at currently. On the other side, you got Chaos Williams, another solid prospect, explosive, heavy-handed, but grappling definitely needs a lot of work and has been for a while needed a lot of work. Wrestling defense, submission defense, wrestling defense, BJJ all needs a lot of work. And this is why I'm willing to Semelsberger. Like, Chaos Williams has that. Is like, he's dangerous on the hand. I mean, I said dangerous on the hand. Dangerous on the feet. Bombs in both hands. But I feel like Semelsberger being a more well-rounded fighter, who also got some heavy hands as well, will be able to keep it up with him on the feet, mixing takedowns, mixing the clinch, and drain some of that pop out of Chaos Williams' hand, drain some of his energy, take it from his gas tank, and really throw him off with the takedowns and the grappling, and mixing those in there. So the more well-rounded fighter, both dangerous on the feet. Definitely, I would say Chaos Williams is the better striker, the more dangerous fighter. But technically wise, it's not no big gap between the strikers. It's really this explosiveness of Williams with the power in both hands that could make it interesting. But outside of that, ain't no big gap between that striking or anything. So I feel like Semelsberger should be able to at least be able to get a good read for what he's doing on his feet, mix it up, and keep Williams at bay a bit, or keep Williams on his toes, or keep Williams, make Williams respect his power too. And we respect his striking too, enough so that he can get off his wrestling, stall out some of his striking, and just don't have Williams out there just slinging bombs recklessly because he got bombs coming back at him. He's not in there with a guy that is dare to be a punching bag or dare to just be hit for him. And then mixing those takedowns and be able to grind out a decision over Williams. So in this one, I got Matt Semelsberger via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Joaquim Silva versus Rick Glenn. And how I see this one right here is, I think Joaquim Silva definitely has the power advantage as far as punching, striking advantage. Like in the strikes, he has that power advantage. Strength-wise, might even give him a slight strength advantage. Rick Glenn on the other side, a significant experience advantage, significant competition advantage. Cardio advantage, I think, goes to Rick Glenn, or at least pacing advantage goes to Rick Glenn. Silva, interesting thing about him, his build, you might say, oh, this guy is a first round or second round fighter, or really probably first round fighter. But in actuality, when you look at him, he's actually a slow starter, and his strongest round, typically his third round, which is interesting. But all that being said, I'm going to give this overall experience and overall skills to Rick Glenn. I feel like overall he's the better fighter. Like I said, I think Joaquim Silva is explosive on the feet, got some good striking, but also hasn't really fought the best competition as Rick Glenn has fought. Rick Glenn is coming up to 155, but I think that's going to help him because he has been having issues making 155. He took some time off, to work on some things and work on himself and work on his life. So I think he's coming back in a good, in a good mindset. And competent weight, he's going to be able to sharpen up tools. So I expect a much better Rick Glenn to come out here pretty sharp and be able to beat Silva to the punch, be able to outlast him, outwork him, and use that veteran experience to, be able to keep this on the feet or wherever he needs to go. Matter of fact, he might be able to take it to the ground. Rick Glenn is no slouch in grappling at all. Been training at Alpha Mill for years and other gyms for years. So wrestling offensively and defensively is solid. Grappling offensively and defensively is solid. So I can definitely see him willing to take this fight everywhere with Silva. And if Silva tries to take it to the ground, because Rick Glenn, if he doesn't win the ground, I can definitely see Rick Glenn stuffing probably most, if not all, of Silva's takedowns and really be able to make him pay for that. So I do see this as a competitive fight. But I think Rick Glenn's experience coming up, his cardio and his pace is going to be able to allow him to get the better of Silva in this one. So in this one, I got Rick Glenn via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Negumereanu versus Alexa Camur. And how I see this one right here between Camur and Negumereanu is that really this I'm gonna keep saying Negumereanu, but I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, that dude right there, he came in was for Saparbek or Safarov, some dude name, but a can basically. And that can, he made that can look like Jordan Barrows mixed with Muhammad Ali and everything else. Like, when I look at his record is severely padded And then he came to UFC and fought his first real fighter and got dominated in every single aspect. And that's the reality of it. And then he took what, like 2-3 years, maybe even 4 years off. I don't know if he's been improving himself. So he came in for the real fighter, got dominated. Padded his whole record up until he got to this point, was an undefeated fighter, came in and fought a can and got dominated in every single aspect. Now he's taken some years off. I don't know if it's going to help him or not, but I'm not going to lean to what ifs. I think a Camur should come in there and will be the better fighter, much better than Pony who dominated him in his last fight. I do expect him to be better since then, because for a reason he definitely had to been training, definitely had to get better. You ain't better than when you last fought, then why are you even here? It's still a very young fighter, but I expect Camur to go out there and be able to just beat him everywhere, dominate him on the feet, dominate him on the ground, and I see him getting a second round stoppage. So in this one, I got Alexa Camur via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Lara Procopio versus Casey O'Neill. And how I see this one right here is on paper, and to some people's weird whatever ideology or whatever they getting this from, or whatever they think they should be, or what they think it is not what it is, or at least has not shown or been proven to be what it is. People feel like Casey O'Neill is the more polished, smarter fighter, the better grappler, better striker, or better overall fighter. But her striking has so far looked trash. Let's be honest, it's trash. I ain't gonna beat around the bush. Her striking has looked trash. Maybe for women in May, it's been looks passable, looks decent. And going against the gym and her background is supposed to be this and supposed to be that, but it's just not what it is. She still has, like I said, the amateurish striking, at least defensively. Like, she don't move her head at all. Her offense striking isn't that good. And we even seen with her fights, even her fights prior to UFC, she strikes for a little bit, gets clipped, and instantly goes for a takedown. She goes against Shane Johnson, stroke for a bit, for a very little bit of time, and instantly saw, yeah, this is not where I want to be. And took Shane Dawson down. She's not a great striker, not a good striker, decent at best striker, until proven otherwise. If she proves it in this fight, she proves it. She wins. But from what I've seen, it's not giving what it's supposed to give. So I feel in this fight, Lara Procopio, even though her striking isn't clean or great like all that, she's been in with a true, legit, clean, crisp, higher level fighter in Carol Rose, who I feel is going to go to the top of this division. Will she win the belt? I'm not sure, but she'll definitely be in the top of this division without a doubt. Carol Rose is a true stud, a true beast of this division, and she won 3 hard rounds with her and was fully in that fight. And Carol Rosa can pluck Casey O'Neill out cold, because Casey O'Neill came hold a candle to Carol Rosa. So that's all I'm saying. Like, even though it's a loss, she fought a much better fighter, far better fighter. She shouldn't even be in the same conversation as Casey O'Neill. And I feel like she can mix it up on the feet. Even though her strike won't be the most polished, a lot of times fighters like that still outwork a fighter who has supposedly cleaner striking, because the gap ain't all that big, that they're so defensive, so sharp that they can neutralize your offense. So your volume overcomes whatever little clean, modern technique they'll have over them. But in this one, I feel like Procopio, I feel she's a stronger, better grappler. And on the feet, she's not as clean or as polished as Casey O'Neill is supposed to be. But she's more proven in her striking, and she'll be more offensive with her striking and be able to get off on Casey O'Neill, who, especially her defense, if her head movement is not there, will be land clean strikes on Casey O'Neill, mix and takedown, forward pressure, outwork her, outgrapple her, outpace her, and beat her to a decision. So in this one, I got Lara Procopio via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Julian Erosa versus Seung-Woo Choi. And how I see this one right here is Julian Erosa is a solid fighter, but defensively has always lacked. Even his last fight against Landwehr, even though it was a first round beautiful stoppage, he hurt Landwehr, then got hurt himself. They were able to rebound and hurt and finish off Landwehr. So defensively has always been an issue. His striking can be solid, can be great at times, has his flashes, but defensively it always kind of comes back to his defense. And I feel like Seung-Woo Choi might not have the same flashes of greatness that Julian Erosa has, but he's more grounded, more clean, more consistent, and that's groundedness and that being fundamentally sound. Even though he's not a superstar or anything, neither is Erosa, I just think that Seung-Woo Choi will be able to stay more defensively sound, stay more polished, stay more clean, stay more grounded, and that eventually will be able to pay dividends in the fight as it goes longer. Eventually he'll find his moments, and those will start to shift the momentum his way and keep the momentum his way. That eventually think he's able to find the openings on Rosa. He like I said, Rosa starts to get sloppy out there, or starts to make defensive missteps, or just defensive negligence, and Choi eventually to start to make him pay for those as the fight goes on. And I see him stopping him in the third round. So in this one, I got Choi via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Josh Parisian versus Roque Martinez. Now I see this one, I think Roque Martinez is a solid, scrappy fighter, and he'll definitely make it a fight. Parisian definitely has his own issues. He's a bigger, stronger, more well-rounded fighter, but he definitely has his own issues. Is that Roque Martinez been undersized and just a chubby, short midget for the weight class? Even though he's supposed to be 5'11", 6 feet, probably really like 5'8", but we're not going off heights. And regardless, undersized, this chunky, short guy that probably should be like a welterweight, really. But yeah, I think Parisian will be too big and too well-rounded. But he's still, Parisian not no great fighter at all himself, but good enough versus Roque Martinez, who kind of almost seems one-dimensional, at least when he's fighting fighters who aren't themselves one-dimensional, and he just shows that he got a little bit more dimension to him than these one-dimensional fighters. So I feel in this one, like I said, Parisian's going to be too big, too well-rounded. Still, just not being good is going to give Martinez some opportunities, but eventually just the hugging and takedowns is going to allow him to just ground out a decision over Martinez. Probably a sloppy fight, but Parisian just winning off a little bit more, well, control really. Close, sloppy striking, but the takedowns and control is going to, and smothering going to lean Parisian to a clear decision. So in this one, I got Josh Parisian via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Vera Jandiroba versus Kanako Murata. In this one, Murata will definitely have the wrestling advantage. And another thing I would say about this fight is that Jandiroba did show a real good fight, put up a real good fight against Carlos Esparza, who's a solid wrestler. I think somebody in my comment section said that Murata has a better wrestling background and pedigree than Esparza, but you also got to recognize that Esparza has been doing MMA for a long time and competing at the best, whereas Murata has not competed nearly to the level of MMA that Esparza has competed at and still competes at. So I would rate, even though Murata pure wrestling might dominate Esparza, or maybe just beat her by a good margin, or even beat her by a little bit or whatnot, just better than Esparza in pure wrestling, you also got to factor in MMA grappling and MMA fighting. And somebody said also Murata had a better striking in this fight, but Murata has not shown amazing strike. Her striking looked horrendous, to be honest. Or it's like it's just there. Her striking is just there. Like somebody gave her some mitts, she punched them like 5 times or 10 times or whatnot. But it's just there. Like, you got to train this. You're MMA, so all right, I'll train it. And just half-heartedly, or maybe it's just don't click with her because she's a wrestler or something. Just not connecting. But her striking, that's what her striking like. It's not connecting in her head. But at least a little bit of power because she's so muscle bound and whatnot. But outside of that, striking ain't really much to write home about or even talk about. It's just there. And like I said, I feel like Esparza's grappling is definitely more accustomed to MMA, whereas Murata has not fully accustomed to MMA just yet. So I would say she's the better MMA grappler between the two. And Jandiroba put up a good effort against Esparza. But what I see in this one, I feel like Jandiroba has solid enough takedown defense, good off her back with jiu-jitsu, good in general for jiu-jitsu. We'll be able to threaten chokes there off her back. And we'll also be able to threaten wrestling with Murata as well. Will she have the greatest success? No, but the fact that she's mixing in there in a mixed martial arts fight is going to definitely make Murata have a tougher outing. On the feet, I think Jandiroba is the better striker. Will be able to get strikes off, be landing shots in the clinch, knees, punch from distance, punches from mid-range, and really be able to outstrike Murata in this one and make her grappling exchanges tough, and to be able to secure her own advantages in the grappling. Have a very tight, close fight, but Jandiroba's experience in MMA and having more tools will allow her to grind out a smart, tactful, close, tight decision over Murata, outstriking her and making her work, but fighting it to a close, tight decision. So in this one, I got Vera Jandiroba via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Tim Means versus Danny Roberts. So when I look at Danny Roberts, I see him as like an off-brand, store-brand Leon Edwards in a way. They definitely got their own different advantages and whatnot, but definitely most of them lean to Leon Edwards. But that's besides the point. How I see this one right here. Danny Roberts is a clean, crisp striker, solid boxing, underrated jiu-jitsu, like real good scrappy fighter. Tim Means on the side has had issues with wrestling when he was at lightweight. But at welterweight, his wrestling has not been as big an issue for him. Grappling defense has not been as big an issue because he, not cutting a lot of weight, dealing with not these speedier, shorter fighters who could get to these shots quicker and score takedowns on you. So not as big of an issue here, and that's really besides the point in this one against Danny Roberts. I want to see Danny Roberts mixing the grappling. I think Tim Means might actually go that route. And really, to get to the point of this prediction right here, Tim Means solid strikings, solid and clinch, good dirty bird striking, brutal elbows, brutal clinch, brutal pressure. Just a brutal fighter in general. And with Danny Roberts, can be a pretty chinny guy and doesn't deal the best with pressure. So I feel like Tim Means will be able to pressure, make the cage small, which Danny Roberts won't like, be able to land elbows in short, land knees, and just keep pushing Roberts back and keep trying to find that chin, whether it be with elbows, punches, short punches, big punches. The whole thing, the point is to get it, keep it tight, push Roberts back, break him down, and be able to stop him late in this one. I think Tim Means is able to do that. So in this one, I got Tim Means via third round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Marlon Vera versus Davy Grant 2. So when these two last fought, I believe Vera was like 23 and Grant was 30. Now many years have passed now and Vera has improved a lot, but surprisingly enough, Davy Grant as well has improved a lot. So it's not a case of this young fighter now is getting in his groove and other guys past his prime or had his time and is just wilted off. Even though Davy Grant was like 36 or 37 now or whatnot, he actually has been making a lot of improvements. Because in the Manny Bermudez fight, he was looking like that old withered fighter who was about to get up out of here. He got destroyed by Bermudez, got knocked out, demoralized, embarrassed, flat out ran through him by Manny Bermudez. But look at now, Manny Bermudez has got cut from the UFC and Davy Grant is on a 3-fight winning streak. So he found a way to rebound. Maybe Bermudez will still beat him again, but all that matters is right now he's in the UFC, he's on a winning streak, Bermudez is out. And so improvements have been made. And that's just not really saying anything about his actual improvements. It's showing that he beat other people that aren't that guy. But still, I'm seeing improvements in his strike. I'm seeing him let his hands go more. I'm seeing his grappling improve. But to get to the point on this one right here, I feel like Vera has made bigger improvements in his wrestling and his grappling. And I actually think he's the better wrestler, grappler. Overall, I think his fight IQ is a little bit better than Grant's at this moment. And when I look at his striking, also I think Davy Grant's, despite being as old as he is right now, I think he's a faster striker. I'm not going to say more fluid, but faster striker. And also, I think another reason to that speed is the fact that he's willing to take risks, and that risk also presents opportunities and makes it awkward and presents, openings in his opponent. Because awkward striking, people only really prepare for textbook for the most part. So when you do stuff unorthodox, it presents avenues. That's why he's been getting stoppages, and also it's not like he's just sloppy. He's clean technique, but unorthodox clean technique. And yeah, finds opportunities. But again, to get to the point of this one, I feel like those same unorthodox techniques against Vera, who is pretty clean guarded for the most part, except to the body. And I don't think Davy Grant mixes to the body enough. I feel like Vera will be able to out-kick him, be able to out-box him, be able to mix it up a little bit more than him. I feel like Grant, for the most part, is going to be throwing leg kicks and going for headshots. But Vera, for the most part, he keeps his guard pretty high, so those shots going to be hitting his arm for the most part. Whereas when Davy Grant starts letting those hands go, he might be able to hit arm for a little bit, might be able to sway the judges. MMA judges, like, they hop on anything, any bit of offense, even if it's defended, like, oh, he's punching him. Oh my God, he's punching him. But most part, when boss like, oh, he's hitting guards, they're not going to be getting hard on to people punching arms. But you can win a whole round off landing 20 arm shots when another guy lands 5 clean shots and you land no clean shots. But like I said, judges be getting hard on to nothing in MMA. So I can definitely see Davy Grant maybe winning the first round just off hitting arms. But I think eventually Vera will be to see his unorthodox stance switches, which presents opportunities for Grant, but also presents opportunities for his opponents. And they have been able to drop him. He got dropped in both his last 2 fights. Even though he got dropped in his last 2 fights, his opponents got dropped in their last 2 fights. But he got the stoppage, they didn't. He beat them, they didn't beat him. But against Vera, Vera's not going to present those same opportunities for Grant. And those same opportunities, Vera's going to be able to roll, like take the shot on the arm, land clean counters when Grant keeps himself, opens himself up to land these unorthodox shots. So like I said, cleaner defense, cleaner fundamentals. It's going to be a land, get the better in these awkward situations, and better start to get the time of Grant, get the reads on Grant, and then be there to counter Grant when he does open up with these unorthodox shots, be able to drop him and finish him off in that second round. So in this one, I have Marlon Vera via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Wellington Turman versus Bruno Silva. And with this one, you got Bruno Silva, who's like a Thiago Santos, very explosive, very dangerous. He got his own issues in there, probably grappling. If he goes in there with a real good grappling, they will probably dominate him. Which Wellington Turman might be by a stretch, but Wellington Turman so far has not impressed me in his grappling. He's supposed to be this and supposed to be that. But so far, I haven't seen any real great takedown offense. Have really seen any great offensive jiu-jitsu where he just was so dominant, so slick, so smooth, so seamless with his grappling. I have not seen it. Its potential is there, and I could definitely see a potential where you're going to get Bruno Silva, a guy who just tested positive and has not fought in like 2-3 years because of that. And maybe he's a less of a fighter now, or maybe the drugs did make him who he was, or yeah, who he was. So now without the drugs and with the inactivity, he's gonna come in here and just shrivel up garbage can, and Turman is gonna come in there and just rock him, throw him around in like a hacky sack. Maybe that might be the case, but I'm gonna lean to him being like, I don't predict based off what ifs. I predict it all based off what I have seen. Unless I'm in the gym and seeing this guy coughing up blood and looking like Slender Man, but not the same height as Slender Man, like Slender Man, and he could reduce himself from like 6 feet to like 5'7" or something. Like, oh, this guy definitely not the same fighter. I'm just gonna predict all based off what I've seen from Bruno Silva and what I've seen from Turman. From what I've seen with Turman, decent like arsenal of strikes, but the fluidity and the experience and the skill just isn't there, like as far as strikes. So nothing really to write home about striking. Decent fight on the striking. Grappling is pretty solid, but again, not saying that same success with his offensive takedowns, or not that the most fluidity or seamless grappling with his BJJ. I see a raw fighter that's still young and got a lot of room to grow. Bruno Silva, I think he's more ready right now. I think he's the better striker. Definitely as a fighter like, I say, a Thiago Santos. He presents opportunities to his opponents. When he presents opportunities to himself, he's not a guy that's gonna be so clean and just trying to limit your strike. He's gonna let his hands go. That's all I'm saying. He's not gonna be those guys like Adesanya, be feigning and waiting for the right opportunity, right moments. He's gonna find the right opportunity. He's gonna stick your chin. He's gonna throw the hand. He's gonna try to knock your head off. He's gonna see you dipping down. He's gonna try to run into you, flying knee, and blow your head off his socket and stuff. He's not out there to pick and be sharp. So those opportunities when you're lunging and doing big explosive opportunities like that, you present the same opportunity for your opponent to land counters on you or score takedowns on you. But again, like a Thiago Santos, a guy that's not afraid to take risks, and it's part of his success. Another reason why he's not as successful, or at least has some losses. But again, I don't think Turman's going to be able to enforce the grappling as much, and flat out I just think Bruno Silva is the better striker. And I do think Turman at times gets too caught up in firefights, and this is a firefight he does not want to get caught up in, and I think he will. I think he's not going to have the success he wants in the grappling, and then start getting tagged up by Bruno Silva on the feet, get clipped, get frustrated, and then try to trade with Bruno Silva, and that's going to end up with him getting knocked out. And I think that happens probably in the later minutes of the first round. So in this one, I have Bruno Silva via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Diego Lima versus Matt Brown. And how I see this one right here is Matt Brown's a solid veteran, but the guy's like 40 years old. Lima was like 31. I think he's coming into his own groove. I don't think he's going to be anybody to write home or worry about in his division. But at this very moment, Matt Brown is not nobody to write home about in this division. I think Diego Lima's younger, fresher, definitely chinny, which gives Matt Brown's opportunity. But Matt Brown's chin ain't the very best at all right now either. He's been getting touched more. First, it was just his body, but his chin been getting touched. He's been getting rocked a lot in these later fights and stopped on the feet a lot in these later fights. So I feel like Lima can clip him just as much as Matt Brown could clip him, and I think Lima's sharper, faster, crisper at this moment. Might even be able to score some takedowns on him, but really, we're not even going to factor that in too much. I feel like Matt Brown might try to do that, but Lima's defense will hold up on the takedown, doing feet. I think Lima will be able to kick out the legs of Matt Brown, better kick game, push it to the body. And again, like I said, Matt Brown's body has always been suspect. Be able to kick it to the body, be faster, be sharper, keep him off balance, use his movement. Like I said, be faster, be sharper. And I think he beats Matt Brown to a technical decision. I think it's still going to be a exciting fight just for the fact that Lima's chin not really existent, and neither is Matt Brown's at the moment. So it's like every single time you see a big punch land or get close to landing, your heart going to beat or stop beating for a second. But close, I'm not going to say close, but clean, not the highest shutout type fight, but close enough, but clear that Lima's outstriking, being a crisper, cleaner, fluider, faster striker, younger fighter at the moment, and be able to beat Matt Brown to a smart decision. So in this one, I got Diego Lima via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the heavyweight division, Alexei Oleinik versus Sergey Spivak. And how I see this right now, again, father time in this one. I think Oleinik is over 40 years old. He's being stopped a lot lately. I think Sergey Spivak has been, improving. So when he first came to UFC, his grappling wasn't all that. His striking wasn't all that. It was, the blueprint was there. The build was there. But again, a younger fighter, you got to build up your skills. You got to have that experience and, start working on chiseling up your skills so you can be a better fighter. And I think Sergey Spivak has started to do that. We started seeing him make smart decisions and mixing takedowns and went against opponents where he has that advantage. Started to see his striking improve, be to get more power behind his shots. This overall, just seeing a much more experienced and more fleshed out fighter. I definitely still think a lot of more room to improve. And this fight still, even at this point, fight Oleinik being older and withering down, still could be a competitive fight. Or Oleinik still has shots to win this fight. It's not a easy fight to pick necessarily, or the easiest fight to pick. But again, Spivak still have a lot of room to improve. But I think at this moment, really, even before the improvements, he was the cleaner, crisper striker. It's just that Oleinik just had more. Oleinik just had that experience. He could find these little gaps in your striking. Like, his striking isn't the cleanest. He could find windows and let his windmills go. That's how Oleinik strike. He does windmills. Like, find those windows and let his windmills go and potentially touch Spivak in there here and there. But yeah, find those windows. But I think right now those windows are starting to close, and Spivak would be able to find his shots cleaner down the center, the cleaner, crisper boxer, cleaner, crisper striker, and be able to touch up Oleinik. And as far as the grappling, will be better suited to defend the takedowns of Oleinik, especially with Oleinik getting peppered up on the feet and desperately going for these shots. They'll be easier to see, easier to receive, easier to defend. Spivak would just be able to put a striking clinic on Oleinik. Like I said, being younger, fresher, sharper, be able to touch him up, and then put him out in the second round. Yeah, second round. So, now I'm going to say third round. Oleinik's a tough guy, but I'm going to say third round. I don't think it'll be first round. It's not like Spivak's a super heavy-handed fighter. I think like a third round. So, touch him up for like 2 rounds, and then be able to put him out in the third round. So, in this one, I got Sergey Spivak via third round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the featherweight division, Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, versus Dan Ige. Let me say that again, Dan Ige. I almost lost my voice for a second saying that, but yeah. Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, versus Dan Ige in the featherweight division. So I see this one right here. Dan Ige is a very solid fighter, and a lot of people have been saying it, and I've been saying it, and they've been saying it, and they've been saying it. But yeah, Dan Ige has been that black horse, and anytime he's the dog, or almost anytime he's a dog, or a lot of his fights on his run, before losing Calvin Cater, he's been a guy that's, anytime somebody pits somebody against him, or he's underdogged or anything, he's just been proving a lot of people wrong throughout his career, especially his UFC career, been proving a lot of people wrong, and just coming out here, pulling off upsets, and just winning more dominantly than expected, or winning when not expected. I will say one thing, the Edson Barboza fight should have went to Edson Barboza. He definitely was out working out Barboza, landing hard shots on Barboza, but it seemed like every single round, the theme would be he would be out working Barboza, be landing heavier shots than Barboza. Then in the final, minute or so, Barboza would hurt him and almost finish him, or hurt him real bad, whether it be a drop. I think he got dropped in both the first and second, but I think they didn't score one as a drop. Maybe they say it was a slip, but I definitely think it was like 2 drops in that fight, at least 2 drops in that fight. And they were both in separate rounds, so I feel like Danny, it should have been Barboza. Like, yes, you were doing that work, but you almost got stopped, so that kind of just counteracts all the work you did. So I feel like he lost to Barboza. I picked him in that fight to win, but I feel like he lost. But, win is a win. Like, I picked him to win, he won, but I feel like Barboza won that one. And for him, he probably felt like he beat Barboza, but I think deep down he lost that fight, but it got gifted. That was a gifted decision, to be honest. But back to the prediction. What I feel about this one, Dan Ige, solid, crisp strike. Well, not the crispest. Like, he a little bit heavy-handed. He like this swing some big shots. He's not a guy that's going to be out there just sticking and moving, landing little crisp jabs, stick on the outside, using footwork like that. He's a guy that's going to come straight for you and let his hands go. Definitely not a sloppy striker, but definitely not no humanitarian, not just some diplomat or some polished wine-sipping style striker. He's a guy that's going to let his hands go. He's not like a super refined artist out there. His artisticness is very violent, very offensive. So I feel like that style against Chan Sung Jung, it could be a case where Dan Ige's either going to outwork Jung, or Jung is going to be able to put Ige out, because Ige is coming straight for him. Matter of fact, Jung can outwork him, I'll strike him. But I feel like that's a case of Jung knocking Ige out, or Jung just landing the better shots of Ige. But it's not going to be a case where Ige's going to be out there doing spinning back stuff and being unorthodox. He's going to be a guy that's going to come straight for you and let his hands go. He's going to try to go for his takedowns. He's going to try to go for his overhands. He's going to try to go for, land these big shots and be up in your face. So it's not going to be a case where Jung going to have to find him, or it's going to be anything tricky like Jung walking into a spinning back elbow or a leaning elbow or anything like that, or anything against a, I'm forgetting a guy named Yair Rodriguez or Brian Ortega. It's not going to be none of that type of stuff. So I feel like Jung is going to be able to find Ige, Jung has solid grappling of his own, super solid takedown defense. Unless he's getting demoralized out there, he's one of the people like a lot of fighters. They have solid takedown defense until one of the elements, like they just start getting behind in the fight and they start getting frustrated. Then those takedowns there, but they're solid, they're composed. That takedown defense is almost like shut down, seal down, you ain't getting me down type takedown defense. So I feel like E's takedowns aren't gonna have the greatest success unless he's out striking him or outworking him, which is possible. But for the most part, I think Jung will be the stuff to takedowns. The early ones, pretty much all the early ones, or flat out neutralize them. Then the feet, I just feel like Jung is definitely the better boxer. We'll be able to stick a jab right into E's face, be able to avoid the overhand or fire his straight behind his jab, and be able to catch E and intercept his overhand and be able to drop him. And I think he outboxes him through the first 2 rounds and then is able to put him out in the 3rd round. So in this one, I got Chang Sung Jung via 3rd round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4-card fights for UFC Fight Night, Korean Zombie versus Eeg. And as always, thanks for watching.